ever notice how narcissists seem so entitled? They act like everything should be handed to them, like the world owes them something. There's a reason for that, and that's what we're going to talk about today, queenbeing.com. Let's get started. My name's Angie Atkinson, and on this channel I offer free daily video coaching to help you discover, understand, and overcome narcissistic abuse in toxic relationships. I like to call it toxic relationship rehab. Does that sound good to you? If so, hit that subscribe button and let's get going. The narcissist really believes often that they're special and unique and need to be treated that way. They think everyone should see them as important in the same way that they see themselves. They don't understand why you think you get to have an opinion about anything. The biggest question we all want to know is, why are they like this? Why do narcissists feel so entitled, right? How do we avoid acting like that? How do we avoid having our children act like that? What is the answer? One of the first places you have to look for the answer to this question is the narcissist's family that they were raised with. Because just like you, they may have been raised in a toxic situation. Their feelings may have been denied. They may have been projected upon by their parents, who may have been toxic people as well. Maybe they were spoiled rotten, and that's why they have that sense of entitlement. Maybe they were just ignored and they had to kind of deal with their own thing, and they developed their sense of entitlement in that way. In some cases, a narcissist can be created by a parent who's just too permissive. Maybe a parent who's an empath who was abused by a narcissist as a child. It's possible, because you may think, well, I'm going to do everything the opposite of what my parent did, and then end up unintentionally raising a narcissist yourself. So you have to be very careful if you're a parent. But today we're talking about how narcissists became entitled. So that's what we're going to stay focused on right now. If you're interested in having me do a video about how to avoid raising narcissistic children, leave me a comment below and let me know when I'll do that. All right? Moving right along. Believe it or not, there's actually kind of a positive side to the whole entitlement issue for a narcissist. A lot of narcissists actually succeed in life because of their sense of entitlement, because they figure, well, I deserve this job or raise or whatever, and then they go out and they get it. So that's one thing, believe it or not, a weird thing that we could actually learn from a narcissist. And I'm not saying you should have a sense of entitlement that is unreasonable, but what I am saying is that you should consider knowing you're good enough. Okay, that is important. What's the difference between narcissistic entitlement and healthy entitlement? Good question, right? Well, here's the thing. People who have high self-esteem, people who believe they're entitled to win something or to pass a test or to have a privilege because they deserve that, those people might not be narcissists. For example, you may feel that you're entitled to get a promotion at work, and you might feel like that because you've proven with numbers or words or letters or however y'all prove it at your office that you deserve that job. You've had the right number of customers, or you've had the right number of whatevers, right? Normal entitlement can be healthy. It's when we get to the point where we're having delusions of grandeur. It's when we get to the point where it's related to something else. A lot of narcissists, here's a little secret for you, my friend, if you haven't already guessed, a lot of narcissists have an incredibly low sense of self-esteem, which is confusing because by nature, you hear narcissist, you think high self-esteem, right? No. Narcissists almost always have incredibly low self-esteem, and they just mask it with all of their narcissistic behaviors. Well, one of the reasons that they tend to feel a sense of entitlement is because they have this underlying sense of inferiority. They feel like they're not as good as other people if they don't get whatever they think they're entitled to, and they feel personally offended by it. Does that make any sense? For example, back to the idea of the promotion at work, if a narcissist didn't get the promotion and they thought they were entitled to it and someone else got it, they might hate that new person for getting the promotion. The thing is, normal entitlement applies to certain abilities that you have or don't have, right? Normal entitlement, for example, if you're playing a game of chess and you're really good at chess and you expect to win, there's a reason for that, right? But if you've never played chess before and you play against a pro and you expect to win, that's not normal entitlement. Does that make any sense? The narcissist does not distinguish between those things. The narcissist doesn't go, well, I'm playing against a pro chess player, so I can't possibly expect to win. The narcissist will go, well, I'm really good at games, and even though I've never played chess, I'm certain that I will beat this chess pro because that's how awesome I am. What it all comes down to is that the entitled narcissist feels vulnerable. they feel inadequate. The grandiosity is a big show, but you have to remember that you've got your entitled narcissists who are more obvious, like your overt types, right? Who seem to genuinely think that they really are better than other people. And then you've got your more covert types who seem to really hate themselves blatantly and openly, and their sense of entitlement is related more to, I think the world owes me something. While the overt narcissists, the more out there narcissists, their sense of entitlement is related to, I think I'm special and better than everybody. One thing that comes out quite often with narcissists who are entitled is they don't like to wait in line. They don't like to wait their turn. They want to step in front of everybody because they're more important. If you have an entitled person at the grocery store and there's someone in front of them that has 50 bazillion things in their cart and they're just holding the one thing. Now they have a couple of choices. They can try to step in front of that person in line, or they can wait their turn, or they could simply say, hey, can I step in front of you in line? If you're anything like me, I'm always like, if I have a big cart full of stuff and I turn around and see somebody behind me with one thing or two things, I'm like, hey, why don't you step ahead of me? By the time I'm done unloading my cart, you'll already be gone, right? And in that case, it works out fine for everybody involved. But for a narcissist wouldn't do that. A narcissist who's entitled would simply keep going with their big full cart and not let you up in front of them. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because they feel entitled. They feel like you should have to wait because they were there first. And if they're behind you, the opposite is true. Bottom line, we understand that narcissists are generally sort of preoccupied with their little fantasies, their grandiose ideas, things like that. They think they're incredibly brilliant. They think they're so powerful. They think they're very successful, even when they're not sometimes. And if they aren't already, they think they're entitled to those things, whether they work for them or not, very often. Most healthy people have moments where they think, I should have that. That should be me. But the difference is a narcissist will actively take steps to show the world that they deserve whatever it was that they didn't get, like that promotion at work or that spot in line. You understand? They need to advance. They need to achieve. They need to change things, do things differently. They also think they should be the center of attention wherever they are at all times. And as you all know, very often, if they're not the center of attention, they're mad and they leave. Like, if you go to a party and you're wearing a red dress and you get all the attention, your narcissist might be like, listen, we gotta go. This place sucks. You know, even if it's a great party and you're having a great time, and almost especially if you're having a great time. The exaggerated sense of self-importance of a narcissist contributes to their sense of entitlement. As we know, they tend to exaggerate their achievements, their wins, their everything, maybe even their title at work. They're often very arrogant, or at least they seem that way to people. And like I said, they typically believe they're special or different than everybody else. One narcissist I know used to call everybody a zombie who wasn't as good as this person was. Finally, the lack of empathy and all that really kind of amps up their issue, right? The lack of empathy causes them to not understand or care how someone else who might be entitled might feel. You know, someone who's rightfully entitled to, say, that promotion at work, they don't care how that person feels. Somebody who's in front of them in line, if they step in front of them in line and the person doesn't have the nerve to say anything, they don't care how that person feels. And even if the person does say something, the narcissist still thinks somehow they're entitled to that spot in line because they are who they are. They are special and different than everyone else. As we know, the narcissist often feels very envious of people around them, even though they shouldn't in many cases. But they think if people have more money than them, they're somehow the narcissist is slighted. If people have more advantages than them, they have a problem. And they also think that other people are envious of them, which increases their sense of self-entitlement. As we know, they require excessive admiration. They need everybody around them to always be approving of them, and not just approving, but admiring them. They really need to be admired by other people all the time. What it all comes down to is that narcissism on a toxic level is generally developed as a facade in order to hide those feelings of insecurity and pain that the narcissist carries around with them. It's a coping mechanism. And as ineffective as it can be for everyone around the narcissist, somehow that facade, that mask, helps them to feel okay. And that's why when it's ripped off their face, or when you expose them, or you even acknowledge that you get who they are and what they're all about, they get real upset, right? So that's that. So now it's time for the question of the day. And the question of the day is, have you experienced dealing with someone who is a narcissist, who has an unearned sense of entitlement? And how did that look for you? What were some examples of it in your life? And how did you deal with it? Leave your thoughts and your ideas in the comments section below. And in my next video, I'll talk about how you can deal with a narcissist who's entitled. All right, stay tuned for that. Thanks so much for being a part of my life and a part of my day. And thank you for letting me be a part of yours. It really does mean a lot to me. I'll see you soon. It's my mission to teach others what I know to be true. You really can create the life you want. Take care of your body, take care of your soul, nurture the real you, and introduce him or her to the world. Be comfortable in your own skin and in your place in this world. Take your spot, take it now, and the universe will take its cue from you. You feel me? If so, subscribe to my channel. Let's get it done together.